Potter's Journal, May 2020. Ceramic pottery, garden art, pillars. Last week we did the turtles. This week we move on to the fish. Okay, we are going free diving, we are going snorkeling, we are going night swimming. Okay, let's see what's going on in the studio this evening. Okay, so this is the material. It is terracotta pipe. And it is carved and shaped. Sometimes the question is, how did you ever cut that stuff? Well, I've got it here extruded as fresh clay. It's still too stiff to work with, so it is dampened with fabric to make it pliable and carvable. Okay, let's see how we did this. Okay, I started by drawing the fish and on a piece of vellum and putting this up against the pipe. I drew this 3 times. I did it once with pencil, then once with a color marker, then again with a darker marker, trying to get them all to fit just right. My kiln right now only comes up to 19 inches, so that means I can make a 19-inch piece and a, what is that, about 7 or 8, I don't have the calculator. However, I found out, okay, I can send these up to 19 and okay, leave a blank spot down there and bring some down. Still, I thought, okay, that's going to be really odd with a small, short little piece. But after getting this made, I changed my mind. I like it. It's like a little crown. Okay, so there we go. Little crown. I thought they had to be big. The ones out in the field were as tall as chin high. Okay, and in the last video I showed the dampening them down with the cloth to make them pliable. This time, okay, we are going to do some of the carving. And, okay, so I traced lightly in where the pattern would be, but then I will come in and make sure that, you know, he's got a fin that comes up and touches this one. If we cut too many spaces out, the piece is just going to collapse. And the stencil looked a little bit rough to me. It didn't look, didn't have a flow to it, which I was worried about, but it seems that when I do this final drawing of the fins, that they start to develop a pattern and a flow. And okay, so this is like carving a pumpkin. And okay, here's what I doing with the top piece, that it is, okay, coming off. In this instance, okay, the top piece is going to be bigger than that little crown. Well, a little bit bigger, not all that much. And, okay, if that looked like a trick getting that off of there, these are only, well, now 19, 27 or 28 inches. The ones outside that we started looking at are chin high. And often to get them work on them, they need to start one way and they need a flip. So they are quite a job to maneuver and handle. And when I make this cut, kind of push in and compact that in so that I can just grab it and pull that entire piece out. Often though on the narrow pieces I end up, okay, having to push some in. And then after I do each cut, I will come and round off the corners, or I should say make straight the cuts so that there's nothing rough in there to catch your hand. And if it is big enough, I'll put my finger in there and smooth it off. So terracotta pipe, vitrified. It's a great material for outside in the garden. Actually, any clay really. If it's fired high enough, and if it doesn't catch water, and if it's not glazed, the problem, I guess, with flower pots is we don't empty them in the winter, and then people do like them glazed, and that's where, yeah, the frost can get under. And give it a chip it off. And this was something I did every June. For 10 years I did a pipe workshop with the old master, and then after he was gone another 10 years, often with another Pittsburgh artist, Barb Kindler. He is finished. There's no place else he touches another fish. So then we will get the mouth in there. So, and if you don't have access to something like this, okay, which is fairly rare to have access to something like this, as lanterns, something like this could be thrown on the wheel. Okay, this is just a normal for like making the holes in a berry colander. And this is not finished yet. After I put the color on, I'm using what? This time I'm using medium blue velvet underglaze Amico. This after I put that on, I then come back, but I think this is going to be too wet, and carve these out some more. We'll take a closer look at the finished piece. Okay, so my favorite fish when snorkeling is the huge schools of blue tangs. I don't know that this is what they look like, but you know, I like the movement of the large group and variants. Okay, so what's your favorite snorkel spot? I'm going to say Cane Bay in St. Croix and Buck Island. I know a lot of people like the parrotfish. I wouldn't say Florida is a place to snorkel, but okay. I seem to remember doing that with the manatees. And, okay, Jamie Dove Pottery actually free dived for sponges, natural sponges in the Gulf. Okay, so this is going to have to stiffen up yet. Okay, so next week maybe we will look to the garden for some influences to put ideas into the pipe sculpture. And okay, the finishing parts here, the part that we carve into, we will carve out the mouth and the eye and put some marks on him and the fins. And okay, let's take a look at one of the last pipe workshops. I think it was 2011, 2010, 2011. This is the stuff, extruded clay sewer pipe. And this is the drying room. So the place where we worked when we did the workshop was right above this. It was always very, very warm, very hot. Okay, and if you thought you had clay to reclaim, here is a pile of clay to be reclaimed. Okay, the greatest thing about the workshop, though, is the people we worked with. Okay, a teacher for Columbus, Denise. Since the workshop, and even at the workshop, her pieces have increasingly carried a strong environmental message. I'm going to have to see if I can find a link to her website. Okay, and Ted, a friend from Pittsburgh. This may be an Irish cottage. I was reading a book on architecture at the time. Cottage architecture. I forget what it was. Country architecture. And I guess I had guessed very early in his process and then surprised him a bit. When I was working on getting a piece from him, it was the character pieces on the right that first caught my attention over that blocky one on the left. But was to find out that that one is a typical Pittsburgh house with the dormer coming straight off and even letting water, probably flow the wrong way on the roof line. Now when I drive through Pittsburgh neighborhoods, I see this house everywhere and was so glad I got his typical Pittsburgh house. And Margaret was great because I would just say the simplest thing like, "Did you ever think to do this?" And she would say, "Oh, I hadn't thought of that." But when I came back, she would not only have taken the idea, but she would have taken it 5 steps further. So if somebody watching this video takes something 5 steps further, please give me a comment or post a video like Freddie did this week. He might have had that in his head, though, already. Another one of Margaret's pieces, we had both been to the Yucatan in the same year and saw the pyramids and did some bird watching. Tim's piece, another Pittsburgh artist. Okay, you can't tell what they are at this point. but they get stacked and assembled. Okay, and Michael from, oh great, what university does he teach at? Somewhere in Maryland. I will have to find out. His pieces this year were quite different than the past, very architectural. Okay, and Barb Kindler, who I presented the workshops with, I don't know that she did a lot that year, but this is from Ansika, a piece of hers. And that show was, okay, in the background, From a Woman's Hand, and I think she was in another show too that year. And this is all the pipe clay. Okay, and what is this? Sculptor's Journal. Okay, this was, this was the last workshop. This was me. This is shaping and assembling the cut up pipe. I think it's a small fish that goes on top of the ones in the back right. This was a big year for me. It was also a very rough year with the workshop. I didn't have a lot of time to put into my own work, and I think I lost maybe about a quarter of these pieces. And it is always great to have the rug pulled out from under you. I've got a kiln down now, so I'm away from the pottery for a few weeks. And actually taking a happy break away, that looking back to some stuff I did a number of years ago, making some more garden pottery, and maybe we'll do some sculpture too before the summer's over. So stop back and see what happens in the studio next week.